Number one player on ESPN, number one player on Rivals, number one player on 24/7 Sports, the number one player on every single recruiting website. In most circumstances, when you have a high school athlete that's one of the top players in their sport, whether it's baseball, football, or basketball, they have an ego. In almost every sport, most people would go onto the record and say having an ego is bad. I simply disagree, at least when you're talking about basketball. It's one of the few sports where if you don't have an ego, people will walk all over you. I'm not saying you gotta be cocky. I'm not saying you gotta go out there and scream in people's faces and hype yourself up on every play. But however, you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta walk out there and have that swagger and killer mentality that nobody can stop you. I've even went on the record to say, and I still stand by this 100%, at least in basketball, it's better to be a little cocky and overconfident in your abilities. Everybody has their own phrase they like to use. I'll just leave it at this. Most people say basketball is 80 to 90% mental. It's a game of confidence, and mentally, it drains you. If you're a basketball player, you've had those days where you go out in the backyard and you can't hit a shot. It gets so bad, it gets to the point where you debate your whole basketball career. You'll walk inside and say to yourself, yo, why am I even playing this game? I'm not that good. Then the following day, you'll go out there, you'll hit every single shot. I'm not going to go on the record and say basketball is the most mentally challenging sport because I've played golf. If you haven't played golf, you're probably wondering what I mean by that, but if you have played golf, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The big difference in basketball and golf is really slow paced and basketball is really fast paced. If you turn the ball over or miss a shot, you can't get down on yourself too much because you gotta run down the court and play defense. With that being said, I myself am a former high school athlete. I'm sure some of you either A, played in high school, or B, you're currently playing. Almost everybody's going to be able to relate in this if you play sports. If you have 1 to 2 good games, you start to get a little ego cocky and you feel like you're the man. It's not really all your fault. You'll go to school the next day after having a good game, whether that's in football, baseball, or basketball, and all the teachers and all the students, they praise you. You should feel good about yourself after having a good game. You put in a ton of work to be able to do that in the off season. That goes for regular high school athletes. Could you imagine if you was the number one overall player on every recruiting database? You'd be a little cocky. In most cases over the past 10 to 20 years, or really even 30 to 40 years, every time we have a number one player, they get a ton of media coverage and a media hype. Also, to go along with that, they have a big presence on social media. Every single thing we talked about, it applies to all of your top 10, top 20 to top 30 players, except for DJ Wagner. I'm not, and let me rephrase that, I am not saying it's exactly the same, but the way he holds himself, it reminds me of Kawhi Leonard. Not on the court, but his actions off the court. He's very quiet, and that doesn't even do it justice. He's insanely quiet. And matter of fact, DJ is so quiet and says nothing at all. Even his family, they say nothing about him. It was to the point only a couple months ago, people didn't even know he had college offers. There was this big rumor going around that he had 0 Division I offers. And come on now, if you know anything about high school sports, how would you believe that? It doesn't even add up. If he's the number one overall player in his class, why wouldn't he have offers? The only reason some people fell for that is for the simple fact that DJ and his family didn't tell any media outlets that he received offers. He was getting the offers, he just wasn't posting it on social media or letting people know about it like most of your top athletes do. I've talked about DJ's game on this channel here and there. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. He's flat on amazing. He's remarkable. He's amazing. He's a great role model for a lot of young kids, not only on the court, but off the court. Even though he's extremely quiet, one thing I love about his game is he still has that dog-like mentality. The perfect way to describe his game is he's a silent killer. There's something about his games, you can go watch the highlights, see it for yourself, go see him in person. He has that, how do I say this? He has that, I don't want to say demon look in his eyes, but he has that Kobe Bryant look in his eyes. He's coming out there each and every game, every second he's on the court to destroy his opponent. He wants to embarrass them. What makes it so appealing to me, he would never tell you what I just did. He's sort of secretive about it. He's one of those players, if you do interview him, one, I've rarely even seen interviews with him, but two, he would tell you, oh yeah, I'm alright, I got a lot to work on. So here's the ginormous question. Why is DJ Wagner so quiet and so mysterious? I'm going to use a brief example, maybe one or two. I actually think I can get to the point with just one. Most of the big hip-hop rappers that make it out of tough situations growing up, in their songs or in life in general, they typically brag about their success. It's not just rappers, but I threw that analogy out there so you could understand it a little bit more. It makes sense to me. Not just rappers, but when you have people that make it out of tough living situations or tough environments, and they're the first person to see success in their family, they're going to brag about it because they're the first to do it. They're going to showboat, they're going to flex, and they're going to do all those things that brings notoriety to themselves. Why do they do this? Well, one reason is because it's a part of their whole persona, but another reason is that they didn't grow up living like that. They're not used to it. And now Matt's about to put you on some knowledge and game. When a person isn't used to living a certain way or doing certain things, this is when they post or brag about it on social media. For example, if you fly on a private jet, most people, 99% of them, are going to post that on their Instagram or Snapchat story because they want people to think they're living this big baller lifestyle. If you look at it from another perspective, if a person owns a private jet and they fly on that 365 days a year, they're not going to post that on their story because they're used to it. You see where I'm going with this? When you're used to living a certain lifestyle or doing certain things, you don't post about it as much because, like I said, you're used to it. Hold on. I know exactly what you're sitting there thinking. Yo, Matt, what in the heck does that have to do with DJ Wagner? Well, my friend, it has a lot to do with him. Let me explain. DJ isn't the first person in his family to see a lot of success. Quite frankly, his dad has seen way more. DJ's dad, Deshaun Wagner, scored over 3,500 points for his high school and was named a McDonald's All-American. It doesn't just stop there. DJ's grandfather, which is his dad's dad, was also a McDonald's All-American. Having a lot of success, and I mean a lot. I don't think some of you quite understand how great you have to be named a McDonald's All-American. This family having many successes in their basketball careers is something they're used to. They're not new to this. Therefore, the expectations for DJ, he hasn't even surpassed them or lived up to them just yet. He's not even as good as his dad or grandfather. Down the road, DJ will more than likely surpass them. At least at this point, he hasn't caught up to him quite yet. DJ's dad was a phenomenal basketball player. He was also a lottery pick in the NBA draft. If you look up DJ Wagner on Twitter, Instagram, or even YouTube, you're not going to see all that much. On YouTube, you're going to see some mixtapes here and there. You're not going to see that many interviews, and on Instagram, he's only posted one photo. If you want to go even farther, he's in the same class as Mikey Williams and Bronny James, and you can't even compare DJ to those other two guys I just named when you're talking about media coverage. It's not even in the same ballpark or even in the same world. It's almost mind-boggling how little coverage DJ gets compared to Mikey and Bronny. Considering the fact that DJ is the number one player in his class, but yet gets no recognition, it's strange, I'll say that. I get it. Bronny is LeBron James' son. Mikey is a social media star. DJ isn't either of those two things, but we're talking about the number one player in the country. I think he should be getting a little more love. It's only a matter of time before people wake up and realize this kid, he's not up next, he's up now. We do need to consider this. Maybe he enjoys not being talked about. There's a lot of people in this world like this. They don't like the attention. He's going to have to get used to it though. It's only a matter of time, only 2 to 3 years before he's in the NBA. I would say he has a 98% chance to be a first round pick. He's the real deal. It's not all hype. You know why? Because he doesn't get a lot of hype. He can really hoop. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the Curious Case or DJ Wagner. Like, what's up with him? Like, should he post more or whatnot? Let me know. And as always, let's be great. I messed up my outro, but, we just going to leave it in anyways. Subscribe if you're new. Yeah, let's be great. I'm out. Peace.